It is my tradition to go to the prisons on Christmas days to celebrate Mass with the prisons. When I came out, I saw there were so many missed calls on my cell phone coming from Madalla here. When I called back, they told me there was bomb blast.
I was running to the people, thinking that the sound comes from the house. So I never knew that the sound comes from this end. And suddenly one person ran to me with his stomach opened and his intestines outside. Father, pray for me. I'm not going to survive.
There were Muslims. Some of them were passing on the road, some were in the vehicles that were affected, and they also died. It was a very bad sight. Personally, as far as I have lived on this earth, I have never seen a thing like that. People died in brutal pains.
On Christmas Day 2011 at 8 a.m. in Madalla, Nigeria, about 40 kilometers from the capital of Abuja, a car loaded with explosives was detonated as it attempted to enter the grounds of St. Teresa's Catholic Church. 44 people were killed, 81 were left injured. The surroundings and the church were devastated. The militant Islamic group Boko Haram claimed responsibility for the attack, one of the deadliest since 2009, the year its terror campaign began. Boko Haram, which in the Hausa language means Western education is forbidden, has attacked police stations, churches, markets, schools, and even the UN headquarters in the capital Abuja. The violence has filled the headlines, disrupting a country struggling to stand firm on its feet. It is also threatening to drive a wedge between Nigeria's two largest religious communities, Christians and Muslims. Nigeria is Africa's most populous nation, with roughly 170 million inhabitants. Archaeological data has revealed an extensive history dating back to at least 9000 BC. The vast kingdoms of Oyo, Ife, Nri and Hausa held sway over their various regions. Contact with Europe was established in the 16th century at the ports of Lagos and Calabar. Here, the slave trade devastated the lives of millions as demand for labor shipped Africans to plantations throughout the New World. The British Empire consolidated its hold over Nigeria in the late 19th century, dividing its protectorate into North and South, governing indirectly through local leaders. After independence from Great Britain in 1960, the country was burdened with ineffective military rule. Nigeria returned to democracy in 1999, but has continued to suffer from corruption and mismanagement. The country is rich, ranking at the top of the world's oil producers. 80% of government revenues are drawn from Nigeria's oil wealth. As so often, however, these resources have not been harnessed to the benefit of ordinary people. Enormous wealth remains in the hands of very few, while the majority of the population live in dire poverty. Unhealthy dependence on oil has also resulted in neglect of the agricultural and manufacturing sectors. Long-standing ethnic and religious tensions also challenge Nigeria's stability. The three dominant ethnic groups, Yoruba, Igbo and Hausa, all maneuver for authority. Furthermore, the country's 36 states are divided almost evenly into two sections. North of the capital Abuja, Islam is the predominant religion, while south of the capital, Christians are in the majority. In the political arena, this divide is increasingly being used to gain power.
Our lives as Nigerians are affected 99.9% by our religious beliefs and inclinations. The political groups in Nigeria have been able to hook into that. These problems that we have in Nigeria would start as political problems, and then they would now wear religious garbs at the end of the day. Politicians tune on the religious sentiments and say, keep them fighting for their religious whatever, and then we in Abuja or Lagos will continue to enjoy their money and to continue with our selfish interests.
North of Abuja, in the city of Jos, at the crossroads between the Muslim north and Christian south, political disputes have separated once friendly communities. Dubbed the home of peace and tourism, Jos has historically welcomed people from all over, with Christians and Muslims sharing day-to-day life in common neighborhoods. Today, these neighborhoods have splintered and military checkpoints guard their entrances. Entire streets have been set ablaze and left devastated following clashes on both sides. Separate markets have been formed after episodes of violence erupted.
Formerly, we were living as brothers until when we found out that they are not the kind of people we can stay with. The best thing is to pull ourselves out from their side and we live separately. And since we live separately, there was no problem again.
They burn our shops and they carry our properties. All we lost our money and all we lost. We don't even come out with anything there. We just leave market empty. We don't have anything. Yes, it's just God that help us to recover here. That's why we're here.
What fuels the violence in Jos is the competition for land and power between indigenous ethnic groups and the increasing Hausa population settling here from the Muslim north. These ethnic tensions unfortunately coincide with religious beliefs. Clashes over the past decade have claimed hundreds of lives, and reconciliation seems increasingly distant. Many Christians have been forced to live on the other side of the city after their homes were destroyed by Muslim mobs in 2010.
This thing started like in the evening, Saturday, so we ran in the night to escape for our lives. On Sunday, we could not attend churches because of the uprising. So we were attacked. Our houses began to set on ablaze. They keep attacking us, even in the church. Anytime we're in the church, they'll begin to stone over the church. So even now, if we are in the service, we used to place some of our people, and we used to borrow some policemen from the security to guide us during the service. We want to come back. Nobody wants to leave his father's place and live somewhere like a slave. We want to come back. Even every time we want to come back to rebuild our houses and live there.
The militant Islamic group Boko Haram has also sought to destabilize the area with a recent wave of violence. Attacks, specifically targeting Christians, are becoming more frequent and audacious. The local Church of Christ in Nigeria headquarters were devastated in February 2012 by a suicide bomber.
You look up there, you see some of the pieces of the scattered car and the remaining engine of the car there. He was aiming at the congregation, and if God had not protected, he could have just gone into there, gained there, and destroy the lives of people that are congregated that Sunday to worship. It could have pulled this building down and people could just have been buried down here.
Nigeria's Boko Haram is a vague and undefined militant Islamic group with origins in the northern city of Maiduguri. At its outset in 2002, Boko Haram preached a doctrine of rejection of all things Western that, as they claimed, led to the country's social injustices. By 2009, the group's actions turned ugly. Boko Haram began a campaign of terror with assassinations and senseless suicide bombings, resulting in over 1,000 deaths. To combat the spread of violence, the government has imposed a curfew in certain areas. Roadblocks and checkpoints have become an everyday experience for both Christians and Muslims. There is growing fear that Boko Haram is networking outside Nigeria's borders as their attacks become more deadly.
We know from intelligence reports that this Boko Haram group has been receiving training from groups outside of Nigeria, like the Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb and also the Al-Shabaab in Somalia. They have fraternal links with these terrorist, fundamentalist Islamic groups. The trainings they got are professional trainings, how to make the bombs. Nobody would have taught them that in Nigeria.
The minority Christian population in the predominantly Muslim north is increasingly the victim of threats and violence perpetrated by Boko Haram and its supporters. Boko Haram is set on flushing churchgoers out of the north and imposing Islamic Sharia law throughout Nigeria. Entire families are forced to flee their villages, leaving their property and lives behind.
Christians are being targeted and shot at. Sometimes they follow the Christians in their homes and shoot at them. At other times, they follow you in your worship places and either bomb or kill you. The children you see me with know what a bomb is, know what gunshots are. So because of the threats of our lives and the lives of our families, we have to move to Jos Plateau State, where we try to find refuge here.
A lot of Muslim groups have said, you do not represent us, because what you're struggling to do is to promote an agenda of division, an agenda of war, an agenda of suspiciousness. What we want is to be able to live together. In Borno, they did not single out Muslims from Christians. They bombed the market. And everybody that was in the market, both Christian and Muslim, died. They asked them, why do you kill Muslims if you are promoting Islam? They said, the Muslims we kill are those we believe are not true Muslims. So right now, they are not representing the Islamic community in Nigeria. They are destroying Nigerians. And these Nigerians are both Christians, Muslims, and traditional religionists.
Amid this devastating wave of persecution, Catholic leaders have called for justice and order. They want to avoid letting a violent minority draw the nation's attention to religious differences that to them are not the source of the conflict at all. In addition, they seek to break down the walls of hatred and suspicion between the religious communities through dialogue and understanding. After the Christmas Day blasts in Madalla, a centre for counselling and dialogue has been created by the diocese. The centre's mission will be focused on healing those who have been traumatised, regardless of their faith. as well as to mend the long-standing relations torn apart by terror.
So our target is to reach both Christians and Muslims, to be able to talk with them, to counsel them, and ensure their welfare at the moment, particularly those who were affected by the bomb blast. You know, they won't just have physical pains, but they have psychological pains as well. And that is why we are after their welfare and then the counseling part of it. We do not want to allow a situation where the community will live divided and seeing each other as enemies.
There is no revenge. Rather, we should pray for the conversion of the people who the perpetrators, as well as those who are financiers, who support this group called Boko Haram. I believe that Jesus Christ is able to convert them. The same Jesus has converted Saul, who became Paul, a pillar of the church. So I want to believe that Jesus can do it. He did it before, he will still do it. So my prayer is that people should come to our assistance, those who made promises that they will help us with funds to help us so that we can re-roof our church. The rainy seasons are with us now, and we need to repair this church. Otherwise, people cannot worship here comfortably when it rains. It was a Christmas day when people were rejoicing that the Prince of Peace has come into the world, bringing us peace. That is why we continue to emphasize the peace. Nobody should destroy the peace that Christ has given to us. Nobody should take it away from us.
Catholics in Nigeria number some 20 million out of 170 million, the largest Catholic population in Africa. Holy Masses on Sundays are always well attended, with a heartfelt devotion being exhibited across each family's generations. For decades, it has offered help and hope to countless disadvantaged citizens. Catholic schools, hospitals, orphanages, as well as other charity lifelines are an important part of Nigeria's communities, providing much-needed services not offered by any other group.
Our congregation, we are managing 5 places in Nigeria. We started in 3rd March 1999. And it was on the first day we came here that we admitted the first baby. And since then we have admitted up to not less than 130 children since we started this home. We have been managing the children as God will have it. Formally, the government are not helping us. It is private from the philanthropics or the diocese.
Think you cause trouble? No. Doesn't cause trouble. This one is Chidemma, the Lord is good. That's the name of the child. And its history is very interesting. You know, each of these children have a peculiar destiny, a peculiar history. There is a shadow side, but there is also a beautiful side. Because they are in good hands, they have life, they have food, they have protection from these sisters, and they have also the angels, because we call this place guardian angels. Smile, cheese. Smile, cheese.
Vocations too in Nigeria's Catholic Church have been abundant for years. There is an ongoing high response of young men and women to religious life. The country boasts over 5,000 major seminarians, the highest number of any African nation. With callings increasing each year, the Church is grappling to provide proper formation for its future priests. At the Baigard Memorial Seminary in Enugu, the number of seminarians now exceeds capacity. Facilities are rapidly aging under a seemingly endless flow of students. When Pope John Paul II first encountered the vibrant communities of the faithful in Africa, he said that the seeds of the gospel had fallen on fertile ground. Despite their often difficult circumstances, these young boys and girls will someday shepherd the growing flock of Nigeria's Catholic Church. Or perhaps, with their vitality and dynamism, evangelize around the world. They will certainly offer an example to their nation through faith and peace. That is why today, when Christianity is under increasing attack, Nigeria's Catholic Church needs your help and your prayer.
Mazuru